G'day mate, 40 here. So I've been walking around UCLA for 3 hours wearing a yarmulke and not the slightest bit of menace. Not the slightest bit of menace. So if there's one side that's more spoiling for a fight here today, just from what I've seen, I don't know, it's kind of even, or it might be more on the Zionist side. So initially, when I was walking into the pro-Israel side of the rally, there was this long line of anti-Israel protesters inside the pro-Israel rally trying to stop people accessing the pro-Israel rally. But that got broken down fairly quickly. I interviewed some people from the anti-Israel side of the rally, and they said that the pro-Israel people were much more physically aggressive, much more spoiling for a fight, and I did see that. So the pro-Israel force is definitely more verbally aggressive, more spoiling for a fight. I guess in part that could be accounted for that the anti-Israel forces have a big shanty town set up in the middle of this UCLA quadrangle. Pro-Israel forces don't have a shanty town set up, so anti-Israel protests have dominated American university campuses for the last week. And so pro-Israel forces are now reacting to that. And so that may be why they're getting their aggression on. A lot of young people showed up on the pro-Israel side, but still looks like the average age of the pro-Israel side is probably age 30, maybe average age getting closer to 40. It looks like the average age of the pro-Palestine protesters seems to be about 20, which reflects demographics in America as a whole. Younger Americans are much more ambivalent or hostile about America, and Americans over 50 tend to be more pro-Israel. But a lot of people came out here spoiling for some kind of confrontation, some kind of emotional catharsis. So security's done a good job keeping people apart. But everyone's really chill overall. I almost had a pro-Israel protester poke my eye out. There are about 20 police officers over there under a tree, but I haven't seen any serious violence. And
get a picture with everyone.
yeah. So most of those who get into like verbal violence, they played a considerable role in the creation of their own confrontation, right? So the people who get screamed at have usually precipitated that. So I've been chill, no one's yelled at me, no one screamed at me, not the slightest intimation of any anti-Jewish sentiment. So one thing being together with people of the same side is that there's a tremendous release of emotional energy. Right? You get together with people with whom you form a rhythm and a bond. And so I guess Jews have been watching anti-Israel protests for the last 10 days, dominating particularly Fox News. And now this is a way to say something back prior to the beginning of the final 2 days of Passover. It's great getting together with your in-group, getting energy from it. Now, if I'd been to this rally 25 years ago, I would have known a lot more people. kind of sad. I think my world has gotten a lot smaller. So I don't recognize many people out here protesting for Israel. Used to be I go to any large gathering of people and I'd recognize probably 1% of people. Now it seems like I go to a large gathering and I recognize and know maybe 1 in 1,000. So I've been walking around this campus with a yarmulke for 3 hours, like not the slightest hint of menace or threat. You know, walking past people carrying pro-Palestine flags and placards, and no one's bothering me. Now, occasionally I'll see pro-Palestine people screaming at some pro-Israel person, but it's always because that pro-Israel person has played a substantial role in the confrontation. So how you treat other people is going to influence how they treat you. So during the 1960s, there wasn't particularly intense protests at UCLA, right? About 10% of the intensity is what happened at Berkeley. So Berkeley is a much more intense place than UCLA. I think Los Angelinos tend to be more chill, right? You never hear people in Los Angeles, generally speaking, in San Francisco socks. But you go to a San Francisco sporting contest against some LA team and you'll hear a lot of chanting about LA sucks. Just a beautiful sunny day, 70 degrees. About even numbers between the pro-Israel side and the pro-anti-Israel side. So I'd say about 1,000 pro-Israel people have shown up. And the anti-Israel side has established a big shanty town right in the middle of the quadrangle. But everyone seems to be having a pretty good time. So someone offered me an Israel flag, like a small, medium, or large. And I said, I'm not really a flag waver. I'm much more comfortable being an observer. She said, oh, are you a journalist? I said, yeah, well, that's my background. So we pick a profession, and that professional choice shapes us. So I'm not comfortable with being an activist, trying to whip up a crowd into a frenzy. Much more comfortable standing on the side, observing. So, do these protests have any wider significance? I mean, I think they reflect a demographic breakdown, right? White Christians, by and large, even though they're going to be more pro-American in America than pro-Israel, if they do pick a side in the Middle East conflict, they're going to pick a side with Israel, while non-white Americans are generally going to pick the side against Israel. But I can't see any wider significance right now beyond that. I mean, universities have to decide how much disruption they want to tolerate in the free movement of peoples and threats to public safety. One possible side effect of all this is increased, more robust protections for freedom of speech. Not just for the anti-Israel position, but maybe for other unpopular positions, right? Maybe for the All Lives Matter position, the anti-affirmative action position. The recognition that different peoples have different gifts. That could be an excellent consequence of these protests. a more robust understanding of the importance of free speech. And I don't see this protest as being good for Joe Biden's chances. Right, I was looking at the comments. I released like a 90-second video earlier today that's gotten about 5,000 views already on my other YouTube channel. And it pointed out that this Middle East conflict works to the favor of Donald Trump because it splits up the Democrats. So younger non-white Democrats tend to be anti-Israel, and older white Democrats tend to be pro-Israel. So Arabs are an absolutely essential part of the vote in Michigan, and this conflict will likely cost Joe Biden Michigan, which would very likely cost him the election. So I was noticing in the comments to my 90-second video earlier that Muslims are not going to vote for Joe Biden. So Donald Trump simply acquiesced with the pro-Israel side of things. But many Arabs and Muslim Americans think that Trump will be less reflexively pro-Israel, less embracing of Israel than Biden. That's probably true. I don't think Trump would have flown to Israel and embraced Bibi Netanyahu after October 7. And I can't picture any other American doing that. It just looks like an own goal on the part of Joe Biden. I don't think there's any winning formula for Biden now that he's so closely embraced Israel. While Donald Trump's concerns are much more pragmatic. Right. Donald Trump has kind of a very instrumental view of Jews. Will I meet Dennis Dale in person before he flees for Seattle? I'd be happy to, but it's going to depend on Dennis Dale. Like, we kind of had a falling out a few months ago, and I'd like to meet up with Dennis. Have no idea if that can happen. So people who have a lot of time to spend on live streaming, that includes myself, they tend to not have a normal, secure level of attachment to real people and real family and normal concerns, and be making normal progress in their daily life. That's why they spend so much time making videos. And so anyone who doesn't have a normal level of secure attachment, all right, meaning that people who treat them badly, you distance yourself from, and people who treat you well, you're more open to getting close to, all right? That's the healthy approach. But people who have a lot of time to spend online are normally not thriving in real life. And people who aren't thriving in real life, right, people who don't have that secure attachment, they tend to be filled with self-loathing. So if someone spends a lot of time online, the odds are about 90% that they're absolutely filled with self-loathing. So this Bruin bear has a lot of emotional resonance with me, because I had this idea that UCLA was going to be the place where my life took off. I had so many dreams for my UCLA career. Okay, and so most of the people who would like to appear on my show don't have normal relationships in real life because they're so filled with self-loathing and anxious and avoidant attachment. So it's a very volatile mixture. And I used to bring a lot of people on my show. If you're filled with self-loathing and anxiety and volatility, all right, you're going to be much more vulnerable to burning bridges. And so you see this throughout the distant sphere in general. People are quite quick to burn bridges and move on, and it's very hard for dissidents to maintain relationships with other, volatile characters in their midst. So most of the people that I was streaming with 6 years ago, I rarely get to stream with anymore, but that's how it generally works. Dissident streamers are constantly falling out with each other, right? Tremendous amount of drama, self-destructive behavior, anxiety, avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, fearful attachment, characterizing people who spend the most time live streaming.